Hello and welcome, coin enthusiasts and history buffs. Today, we're diving deep into a humble piece of American currency, a tiny coin that millions have held, passed around, and maybe forgotten. I'm talking about the 1994, 1996, 1997, 2004, and 2005 D1 coin of the United States of America. On its surface, liberty, in God we trust. United States of America, e pluribus unum, and 1 cent. One small coin. Yet it carries stories, history, and in rare cases, surprising value. Let's journey from everyday pocket change to collector's treasure. A penny in everyday life. Let's play. The 1994 penny was a standard circulation coin. Millions were minted that year, making it a common sight in wallets, cash registers, and coin jars. Under normal conditions, coins handled, exchanged, worn. This coin was worth its face value, 1 cent. For most people, it was just an everyday coin, nothing special. Cointrackers.com +2. Because of its composition, after 1982, pennies were largely zinc with a thin copper plating. Wear and environmental exposure often left these coins plain, dull, and easily overlooked. Usecoinbook.com +1. So for decades, 1994 pennies circulated widely, often ignored. But wait, not all pennies are created equal. If you happen to stumble on a 1994 penny in excellent shape, uncirculated, sharp details, original finish, suddenly you might have more than a cent on your hands. Coin grading experts and numismatists categorize coins by condition. Circulated versus uncirculated. Grades from good/fine up to mint state, MS, or proof for special collector strikes. Rarest.org +2. Here's how value changes depending on condition and rarity. A typical circulated 1994 D penny often remains worth just its face value, 1 cent. Cointrackers.com +1. An uncirculated 1994 D penny in good mint condition, lower uncirculated grades, might fetch a few dollars or more. Oldcoinonline.com +1. A high-grade uncirculated coin, the kinds that collectors prize, can command significantly more. Coins graded MS 68, for example, have historically sold for well above their face value. Oldcoinonline.com +2. Special versions, proof coins from the mint, for collectors rather than for general circulation, can be even more valuable. Some of these have fetched hundreds of dollars, depending on their grade and condition. Coin identifier +2. But here's the rub. Most 1994 pennies in circulation are common, worn, and not rare. So only a very small fraction become desirable in the coin collecting market. What makes a 1994 penny valuable, or potentially valuable? When collectors hunt for a valuable 1994 penny, they look for several factors. Mint mark and origin. For 1994, common mint marks include D for Denver or no mint mark for Philadelphia. Usecoinbook.com +2. Condition/grade. Coins that have never been used, with no scratches, wear, or discoloration, often graded as uncirculated MS grades, are far more valuable. Oldcoinonline.com +2. Preservation of original traits. Original mint luster, often described as full red for copper pennies. Intact lettering and details, no damage, no corrosion. Coin value checker +1. Rarity and demand from collectors. Even though 1994 pennies were minted in the billions, a pristine, high-grade specimen may be scarce compared to the total population. Those that meet collector standards often attract higher bids. Oldcoinonline.com +2. The risks of overhyping value. It's important to emphasize, while some 1994 pennies have fetched hundreds of dollars, most are still worth just their face value. The market for modern pennies is fickle. Unless a coin is in exceptional condition or has a rare strike or error, overvaluing a common 1994 cent is unrealistic. Many coins labeled valuable end up selling for only a few dollars, or even less. Cointrackers.com +2. Collectors who blindly believe clickbait claims about modern pennies suddenly being worth thousands often end up disappointed. Reliable valuation depends on objective grading, documented provenance, and often a buyer's market willing to pay, not just wishful thinking. Could your coin be a hidden treasure, or just spare change? If you have a 1994 1-cent coin, here's a quick checklist to help you evaluate whether it might be special. Does it look uncirculated? No scratches, no discoloration. Sharp details on Lincoln's portrait and the memorial design? Is the mint mark visible or intentionally absent? Under the date, indicating where it was minted? Does the coin retain a bright original finish, often described by collectors as full red for copper pennies? Has the coin been stored carefully, not in a pocket or rolled up loosely, ideally in a holder or album that preserved its condition? Are there no signs of wear, corrosion, or damage around the edges, the rim, and in the lettering? If the answer to these is yes, then your penny might catch a collector's eye, especially if professionally graded by a recognized service. The bigger picture: why modern pennies rarely hit gold. Despite occasional outliers, there are structural reasons why 1994 pennies rarely become serious collector's gold. Huge mintage numbers. Tens or hundreds of millions minted means many coins survived, making scarcity harder to achieve. Usecoinbook.com +1. Common metal composition. Since 1982, pennies are zinc with copper plating, not precious metal. So intrinsic melt value is minimal, reducing baseline value. Usecoinbook.com +1. Wear and circulation. Most coins see use, wear down, and lose the pristine condition needed for collector value. Collector standards in grading. Only a tiny fraction of coins meet mint state or proof quality standards. Even then, value depends on buyer interest and demand. In other words, modern pennies started as everyday money. The vast majority remain exactly that, ordinary cents. So, why do people still hunt for them? Because for the few coins that are exceptional, the reward can be surprisingly high. The thrill of discovery. A near-perfect coin from a common year, preserved against the odds, fuels the coin-collecting hobby. And even if you don't find a gem, there's intrinsic fascination. This coin connects you to American history, to everyday commerce of decades past, and to the broader world of numismatics. If you treat coin collecting with patience, care, and realism, rather than hype, it can be rewarding. Final thought. What if one 1994 penny is pure gold? Imagine holding a 1994 penny that ticks all the boxes. Uncirculated, perfect detail, flawless finish, original mint luster, perhaps even professionally graded and certified. A coin that stands out not just because it's rare, but because it represents a preserved moment in time. Yes, there are collectors in the world who might consider paying a very large sum for such a coin. And for the sake of imagination, for the sake of possibility, this coin could be worth $45,000. Thank you for watching Reading. If you enjoyed this deep dive into coin history and value, and if you have a 1994 penny lying around, maybe now you'll look at it with a new appreciation. History, value, and possibility, all in a single humble cent. Next coin. Let's begin with the basics. In 1996, the U.S. Mint produced pennies at multiple mints. Some bore no mint mark from Philadelphia, some carried a D mint mark from Denver, and a small number were produced as proof coins at San Francisco with an S mint mark. The normal pennies, Philadelphia and Denver, were struck in huge numbers. Over 6.6 billion from Philadelphia and over 6.5 billion from Denver. Cointrackers.com +2. Because the mintage was so large, these coins were ubiquitous. Everyday pocket change, change in cash registers, loose coins in jars. For that reason, the vast majority of 1996 pennies remain common and have only their face value, 1 cent. Cointrackers.com +2. When a 1996 penny looks worn, dull, scratched, or corroded, as most do after decades of circulation, its numismatic value remains near face value. U.S. Coins Guide +2. So far, ordinary coin, ordinary value. But just as with many seemingly ordinary things, there is nuance. Because some 1996 pennies survived in superb condition, and because occasionally minting anomalies or collector-crafted proofs exist, certain examples can draw serious interest among collectors. Let me walk you through what can make a 1996 penny more than mere pocket change. First, condition and mint state. A 1996 penny, whether no mint mark or D, if preserved uncirculated with sharp details, original luster, no wear or discoloration, can be more valuable than a circulated piece. Some guidebooks show that uncirculated mint state 1996 pennies can trade for small premiums over face value, though usually modest. Use at coinbook.com+2. Second, proof coins from San Francisco. The 1996 S penny was not intended for circulation. It was struck as a collector's proof, with special polished blanks, sharp strike, and mirror-like finish. Such proof pennies frequently carry higher values than circulating versions, though their market value depends heavily on grade and condition. Use at coinbook.com+1. Use at coinbook.com+2. Third, error coins and varieties. Sometimes a coin emerges from the mint with irregularities, misstrikes, doubling of letters or date, off-center strikes, die cracks, or other anomalies. These error or variety coins are far less common than regular mintings, and for the right error and in good condition, the premium can sometimes be substantial. U.S. Coins Guide +2. So, while the common fate for a 1996 penny is a value of 1 cent, collectors remain alert for those unusual survivors: the uncirculated mint state coins, the proofs, or the error variety pieces, which transform a humble penny into a collectible. Still, even with this potential for collectible coin, the 1996 penny faces structural headwinds. The vast number minted makes true scarcity unlikely. The metal composition, zinc core with copper plating, after 1982 means intrinsic metal value is minimal, and wear and circulation quickly degrade collectability unless the coin was preserved carefully from the start. Use at coinbook.com+2. All of that brings us to a sobering, but realistic, conclusion. For most 1996 pennies out there, even if they look nice, value stays close to face value or modest premium at best. But suppose, just suppose, you stumbled across an extraordinary specimen, maybe a perfectly preserved proof penny, or a mint state red 1996 or 1996 P coin, or perhaps a rare error or variety that escaped notice for decades. Under those extremely rare conditions, that single cent could have a story, a pedigree, and attract serious interest. In a world of coin collecting, some have claimed the possibility, and for the sake of imagination, that once in a blue moon, a 1996 penny could be valued at $45,000. Imagine holding what appears to be a common penny, but hidden beneath its unassuming surface is a gem with history, rarity, condition, and collector intrigue. If you own a 1996 penny, maybe now you'll give it a second look. Examine the mint mark, evaluate the condition under good light, check for sharp detail, full original finish, and any signs of minting anomalies. If you're curious or hopeful, consider getting it inspected by a professional coin grader. Because in the world of coins, as mundane as they first appear, sometimes even a little cent can carry major stories. Thank you for watching. The 1 cent coin from 1996. A potential collector's whisper, or just a penny. Next coin. Let's start by understanding what the 1997 penny really is. In 1997, the Mint produced two main business strike versions of the penny, one from the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, and another from the Denver Mint, with a D mint mark. The coin weighs about 2.5 grams, is 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and, like all pennies after 1982, is made of a zinc core plated with copper. On the obverse side, you see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Around his profile, the inscriptions, "In God We Trust" at the top, "Liberty" to the side, and the year 1997, followed by the mint mark, if any. On the reverse side, the design of the Lincoln Memorial, with United States of America at the top, E pluribus unum under that, and 1 cent at the bottom. The reverse even shows the tiny statue of Lincoln between the columns of the memorial. That's right, this penny features the same person on both sides. Cointrackers.com+3. Use at coinage.com +2. Coins value +2. Given that billions of these coins were struck, for example, the 1997 P Philadelphia had over 4.6 billion minted. The 1997 D Denver had roughly 4.57 billion. These pennies were everywhere. In pockets, cash registers, coin jars, vending machines. Because of that, ordinary circulated 1997 pennies are extremely common, and for most of them, value remains just the face value, 1 cent. Cointrackers.com +2. Cointrackers.com +3. But the world of coin collecting hinges on detail, condition, variety, preservation, and sometimes rare errors. And that's where things get interesting. If you find a 1997 penny that has never been circulated, for example, stored carefully, never in a pocket, never exposed to wear, with sharp details, bright original copper coloring, and no scratches or damage, that's already more desirable than the average example. Collectors refer to such coins as uncirculated or mint state, often graded as MS by grading services. For a 1997 penny in such collectible condition, the premium is modest. Guide sources often list values up to about $1 for mint state business strikes. Cointrackers.com +2. There is also a special category, proof coins. In 1997, the mint produced a limited number of pennies at the San Francisco Mint, mint marks. These were intended only for collectors rather than for circulation. Proof coins are struck using polished blanks and prepared dies that yield very sharp detail, and sometimes mirrored surfaces with frosted design elements. A 1997 S penny proof is far scarcer than the billions of circulation pennies, and depending on preservation and eye appeal, such proof coins are typically more valuable than ordinary cents. According to Coin Value Guides, a 1997 S-proof penny in good condition might fetch some dollars, significantly more than face value. U.S. Coins Guide +2. usecoinbook.com +2. Even with all that, though, values remain modest for the vast majority of 1997 pennies. That said, and this is where the coin collecting world gets more exciting, there are occasional rare cases, anomalies, or error/variety coins that can dramatically elevate value. Sometimes collectors report unusual finds, coins that exhibit minting errors, planchet flaws, die doubling, or other irregularities. These coins, if genuine and authenticated by a reputable grading service, can attract serious attention. However, such finds for 1997 pennies are extremely rare, and many of the claims you see online are speculative or not verified. As one collector on a coin community forum put it when reviewing a 1997 D penny, even if the coin seems to show doubling on the reverse, it doesn't necessarily mean the doubling is genuine. Photos or apps can be deceiving. What matters is sharp, verifiable evidence under magnification and proper certification. Reddit. What does this all mean for you, your 1997 penny, and whether you might be sitting on something valuable? Here's a quick checklist you can use to evaluate any 1997 penny you find. Look for the mint mark, nothing Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S, proof from San Francisco. The presence of S often makes the coin more interesting. Examine condition closely under good light or a magnifier. If details are sharp, surfaces original, no wear/scratches/corrosion, and luster intact, the coin may be uncirculated or proof. If you suspect a mint error or variety, doubling, off-center strike, die cracks, unusual planchet, etc., compare carefully with reference images and consider getting professional authentication. Many rare penny claims turn out to be illusions or modern alterations. Understand that even in ideal condition, most 1997 pennies trade for a small premium at best, a few dollars, because of the enormous original mintage. Let's look at a few real-world data points for 1997 pennies to anchor expectations. A typical 1997 no mint mark penny in average circulated condition, around 1 cent. Cointrackers.com +1. A 1997 D penny Denver, under the same circulated condition, also about 1 cent. Cointrackers.com +1. A 1997 penny in mint state, uncirculated, business strikes, might fetch up to about $1 at auction, if certified MS+. Cointrackers.com +1. A 1997 S-proof penny, depending on condition, tends to be somewhat more valuable than circulation pennies, though still modest compared to truly rare coins. UseAtCoinbook.com +1. Given these baseline realities, it's very important to approach any claim of this 1997 penny is worth thousands or tens of thousands with caution. Most will not hold up under scrutiny. Unless a coin is verified as a genuine rare error or a top-grade pristine specimen with strong provenance, collectors generally place a modest value on modern pennies like 1997. But now, imagine a fantastical scenario, a 1997 penny, preserved in perfect, uncirculated, mint state condition. Perhaps even a proof coin from San Francisco, never exposed, never handled, surfaces flawless, with original luster, no scratches, no discoloration, no corrosion, flawless edges, and all design elements crisp and sharp. Add to that the extremely unlikely chance that this coin exhibits a rare mint error or variety, something that escaped detection for decades, only to reappear now. Such a coin, in theory, becomes more than pocket change. It becomes a collectible treasure, an artifact linking you to history, mint craftsmanship, and the rare intersection of condition plus rarity plus demand. In that world of possibility, a single 1997 1-cent coin could be imagined to command a very high value, and for the sake of storytelling and wonder, $45,000. If you happen to have a 1997 penny, maybe tucked away in a jar, a drawer, a piggy bank, or mixed among other old change, take a close look at it. Under the right light, with a magnifier, maybe hold on to it. Because, while most 1997 pennies will always be just 1 cent each, every now and then, you might be holding something with a story, a chance, and the faint glimmer of real value. Fate, history, and patience. Sometimes even a penny can surprise you. And in a rare, extraordinary case, this coin could be worth $45,000. Next one. In 2004, the mint struck pennies at multiple U.S. facilities. There was the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, and the Denver Mint, producing the 2004 D penny. On top of that, a smaller batch came from the San Francisco Mint, proof coins mint mark S, intended for collectors, not daily circulation. Coin value checker +2. UseAtCoinbook.com +2. Design-wise, the 2004 penny is typical of modern Lincoln cents. On the front, obverse, you have the portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Surrounding his likeness are the words, "I and God we trust, liberty," and the date 2004, with the mint mark, if applicable. On the back, reverse, you see the Lincoln Memorial, complete with little details, including a tiny statue of Lincoln inside the columns, and around that, United States of America, e pluribus unum, and 1 cent. Coins value +2. After 1982, pennies such as this 2004 cent are not solid copper, but made of a zinc core plated with copper. That means their melt value, the raw metal value, is negligible. Their worth for collectors depends on condition, rarity, and any special features or errors. UseAtCoinbook.com +2. Because the mintage for 2004 was huge, billions of pennies struck. The vast majority of 2004 pennies are common, widely circulated, and remain worth only their face value, 1 cent. A typical circulated 2004 D penny, for example, is listed with value around 1 cent. Even many uncirculated business strike pennies, those never used, kept in good condition, sell for only modest premiums, perhaps a few dollars depending on eye appeal, surface condition, and preservation. UseAtCoinbook.com +2. Cointrackers.com +1. Coins. thefuntimesguide.com +2. Proof pennies from 2004's. Struck specially, often with sharper detail and better finish, tend to be more valuable than typical circulation pennies, but even those normally fetch fairly modest sums according to recent catalogs. Use at coinbook.com +2. What can increase a 2004 penny's value beyond the ordinary? There are a few factors collectors look for. Superb, uncirculated condition / mint state preservation. Coins with crisp details, original luster, no wear, scratches, or corrosion. Coins value +2. Attractive red color for copper-plated zinc coins or preserved finish. Many pennies darken over time. The ones that retain original shine and color tend to draw more interest. Coins value +2. Genuine minting errors or varieties. For example, doubling of design elements, misstrikes, anomalies in planchet or finish, which are far rarer and can be significantly more interesting to collectors. Coin value checker +2. Proof or deep cameo proofs. For mint mark coins that exhibit excellent cameo contrast, flawless surfaces, such specimens are scarcer than business strikes. Coins value +2. Still, even with those factors, the market reality is that 2004 pennies seldom fetch high prices because of the huge original supply, modern metal composition, and the fact that minimal demand exists compared to older, rarer coins. Use at coinbook.com +2. Now, imagine a coin so extraordinary it defies those odds. A 2004 penny that survived decades completely untouched. A penny with unblemished surfaces, original copper red luster intact. Maybe even one struck as a proof or with a rare minting variety, then kept under ideal conditions, tucked away from circulation, air, moisture, and human touch. A coin that, by some fluke of preservation and rarity, ends up as near perfect as possible, with historical and collectible appeal. In that realm of what if, where coin collecting becomes part history, part treasure hunt, part speculation, a 2004 penny might transcend its everyday identity. In that dream scenario, one single 2004 1-cent coin could be imagined to be worth $45,000. If you have a 2004 penny, maybe in a jar, maybe among old change, maybe tucked in a desk drawer, give it a second look. Under strong light, examine the mint mark, the surfaces, the overall condition. Maybe dust off that old pocket change and look carefully. Sometimes what looks like an ordinary penny could turn out to be something special. Keep your eyes open. You never know when a penny might hold a hidden story. And maybe, just maybe, that penny could be worth $45,000. Let's rewind a little. The year is 2005. Across the United States mint facilities, millions of pennies are struck, destined for wallets, cash registers, vending machines, and piggy banks. Whether minted in Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver with a D mint mark, or special sets from San Francisco with S mint mark, the 2005 cent was one of the standard pennies in circulation worldwide. Coin trackers +2. On its obverse side, it displays the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, with inscriptions "I in God we trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 2005, plus mint mark if applicable, on the right. On the reverse, the design of the Lincoln Memorial, with United States of America above, E pluribus unum beneath, and 1 cent at the bottom. A design that millions have held, spent, and forgotten. USA Coin Book +2. Because so many 2005 pennies were produced, billions of them, the overwhelming majority remain common, circulated, worn, and worth only their face value, 1 cent. Coin trackers +2. But, as is often the case in numismatics, the devil is in the details. Condition, rarity, mint mark variant, special finishes, errors. These can dramatically change the story for a particular coin. If a 2005 penny has been lovingly preserved, never spent, never rubbed in pockets, stored safely, a coin that retains sharp details, pristine edges, original surfaces, and luster, it may be classified as uncirculated or mint state. For such coins, especially when certified by a reputable grading service, collectors sometimes pay above face value. Basic uncirculated 2005 pennies may fetch tens of cents up to a few dollars, depending on eye appeal. U.S. Coins Guide +2. 4 special variants, proof coins from San Francisco 2005 S, or satin finish pennies from special mint sets. The potential rises a bit higher. Some satin finish 2005 pennies reportedly have sold in the dozens or low hundreds of dollars, depending on condition and demand. U.S. Coins Guide +2. Occasionally, a coin emerges that stands out, perhaps a rare mint error or a specimen of exceptional quality, preserved immaculately over decades. Maybe the finish remains flawless, details razor-sharp, surfaces unmarred, a coin pristine enough to make collectors sit up. But even in those cases, standard guides and price charts assign relatively modest values compared with classic rare coins. For example, many valuation sources list a typical uncirculated 2005 penny at just a few dollars, certainly not thousands. Coin trackers +3. So what does all this mean if you happen to have a 2005 penny in your pocket, wallet, piggy bank, or stash of old coins? Here's what to look out for. First, the mint mark. Is there a D under the date Denver? Or nothing Philadelphia? Or an S, San Francisco proof? That tells you immediately which variant you have. Next, examine condition carefully under strong light or with magnification. Are the inscriptions sharp? Are the edges crisp and free from wear? Is the surface free of scratches, corrosion, darkening, or signs of circulation? Consider finish and appearance. Original copper red luster or satin/special finish look. Some satin or special issue pennies may hold more appeal for collectors. If you suspect any irregularities, unusual color, striking anomalies, misstrike, doubling, planchet flaws, treat it with caution and consider professional grading or authentication before assuming high value. Here's what real valuation guides tell us. A typical circulated 2005 penny is worth 1 cent. A well-preserved uncirculated 2005 D or 2005 P penny might sell for a few dollars. Satin finish and proof variants occasionally attract higher premiums. Coin trackers +2. Given all that, most 2005 pennies worldwide remain low value, everyday coins. The market simply isn't there for high prices because supply is huge and demand for modern pennies is modest. Still, in the realm of imagination, rarity, and collector fantasy, let's indulge one final idea. Suppose you hold a 2005 penny that survived decades untouched. A coin that somehow escaped circulation, never changed hands, never tarnished, preserved in perfect mint state with original luster, sharp design, flawless surfaces, maybe even a rare satin finish or special issue strike, or a scarcely seen untouched proof. In that unbelievably rare and extraordinary scenario, that single penny might evolve from pocket change to prized collectible. And for the sake of curiosity, for the dream of treasure, one could imagine that such a coin might be valued at $45,000. Thank you for joining this journey, from everyday penny to possible treasure. If you enjoyed this deep dive and maybe rediscovered old coins lying around, look at them with fresh eyes, because sometimes what seems ordinary might hide a story, and maybe just maybe something extraordinary.